We're back. Welcome back. I am just here eating my burrito, and I want to watch some Vice and Vice News documentaries. Let's turn up the desktop audio, and we will change which Firefox this is displaying.
President Trump announced his support today for a bill called the First Step Act.
It will provide new incentives for low-risk inmates to learn the skills they need to find employment.
It's out of character for Trump to show sympathy for people who've been convicted of crimes.
And when you see these thugs being thrown into the back of a paddy wagon, I said, please don't be too nice.
But his endorsement is the latest sign that criminal justice reform is now a mainstream and bipartisan issue. A major part of recent reform efforts is a push to rethink one of the basic elements of the American detention system, cash bail.
It's Monday morning, beautiful weather, and we have a Kennedy in Brooklyn in front of the Brooklyn Detention Complex. What's happening? What's going on today?
Well, we're here conducting the largest bailout in the history of our country. Hi, I'd like to post bail, please. I just went in and started the process to bail out a woman. She's there only because she's too poor to make bail. Yes.
So you want to pay for
Yes,
bail?
yes, please.
On October 1st, the RFK Human Rights Organization, led by Kerry Kennedy, the daughter of Bobby Kennedy, set out on a month-long, unprecedented mission to bail out hundreds of women and juveniles from New York City's notorious jail complex.
That was awesome.
Rikers Island.
Holy shit.
80% of the people who are at Rikers Island are there awaiting trial.
Wow.
And the only reason they're there is because they can't afford to make bail. You know, in this
What?
country, if
80% of them are
poverty,
just sitting on
you
bail?
lose your right to be innocent till proven guilty. And that's really what we're trying to address. We're all set. We'll be back.
Thank you so much.
First bailouts this morning went great. Then we followed up with a bunch of volunteers going to the bail window at the Brooklyn Detention Center. I've paid a few bails in New York, a fair amount, and this was the fastest bail paying experience I've ever seen. They got through really quickly, which I think says something about what happens when you bring cameras and like rich people to the bail window.
But Kennedy, like anyone else who's not a bail bondsman, can only spring 2 people a month. So bailing out hundreds of people in a matter of weeks means recruiting 200 volunteers.
Wow.
But it's a pretty straightforward process. All you need is an ID and a very patient temperament to pay bail. And the money, right? The cashier's check that you will or will not run off with. Will not. All right, good. I did my job.
Hi, everybody. I just want to know, when can I start?
Attorney Wade McMullen and former Obama strategist Kerry Twigg are running point on the mass bailout.
How do you all choose who's going to be bailed
We
out?
don't. They choose, right? So we have stated that we are willing to post bail for anyone who's eligible, and we have talked to the folks on the island, and those who opt in, we will do what we can.
This is the organization's first mass bailout, but it's been bailing out individuals like Pedro Hernandez since last year. Pedro was 16 when he was arrested for attempted murder. He insisted he didn't do it, and the charges were eventually dropped, but not before he spent 12 months at Rikers.
In there is a different environment. It's not like you could just sit down and watch TV all day. You gotta sit down and watch your back, or be on the phone and watch your back. Come out the shower and watch your back.
How many people do you know of that are in the same position at Rikers that you were in?
The kids I was housing with in there, I know a few of them that's in the same position that I was in. If my attorney, Addict Spiral, or the RFK Human Rights Organization would never step in the picture, I think I'd have just been another kid still sitting in Rikers hoping to see the freedom and the day of life again.
We have the resources to bail out 100, 200 people off of Rikers Island, right?
Right.
And we ensure that a social worker goes and meets with them to assess their needs and what they need to responsibly and safely transition back to their community and wait for their trial and finally achieve due process in their case.
75% of the people on Rikers are eventually released without ever being sentenced to prison. which suggests that most of the people there aren't really a threat to public safety. But the fact that RFK will bail out anyone, no matter what crime they're accused of, troubles law enforcement and top prosecutors. We sat down with Elias Husamadin, president of the union that represents correction officers in New York, including those working at Rikers.
Why would you want to subject the community to these people when the community have finally found some peace by these particular people not being able to roam the community and commit the crimes that they're in for?
All of these crimes are alleged crimes that they have not yet been found guilty of.
Tell me who you're bailing out. That's all I'm asking. The Kennedy family, the people that they're bailing out don't live next door to them, don't live around the corner from them.
Are you just as concerned with public safety when a rich person bails themselves out as you are with the person who doesn't have the means, who can't bail themselves out?
Yes, I think the law should be evenly and equally applied. Now, how do we make that happen? I guess that's for mine.
If we don't want them to be bailed out,
we could sit here all
then
day
yeah, we should get rid of cash bail and not allow them to leave the jail until they go through their
case. But at the end of the day, brother, there's a freaking community out there that feels safer that these people are locked up.
Raku works at a store in Lower Manhattan. A few months ago, he says a woman came in, started stealing clothes, and pulled a knife on him. The alleged thief was arrested and was being held at Rikers on a $50,000 bail. That's until RFK bailed her out.
Don't touch.
Have you seen her since?
Oh, then that's 3-4 වගේ ඉස්සල්ලා පාන්දර ඇවිල්ලා දොර ඇරලා කෑගේ. මම හිතේ ඇතුළට එන්න මේ තහනම් කරලා ඇත්තේ. ඒ වුණාට ඉතින් මට බයක් හිතෙනවා එයා මොනාරි කරයි කියලා.
Since being bailed out by RFK, the alleged thief skipped bail. And a new warrant is out for her arrest. RFK would not comment on specific cases.
What happens if someone jumps bail?
You know, that's a risk we're willing to take, and we're willing to bet on the people that we are bailing out. It's not, quote, skin in the game that gets people to come back to court. It's literally, like, do they have a ride? Do they have someone to take care of their kids? Can they get off work?
Law enforcement, chief of police, correctional officers, you know, they're talking about this is a threat to public safety. Is it?
I'm not surprised, right? That there are public officials using the term public safety and talking about the most sensational cases and essentially fear-mongering to paint a whole host of individuals with a very broad brush. If politicians really thought that the type of charge or accusation was determinative of whether someone posed a risk to public safety, there'd be rich people charged with serious crimes on Rikers.
Eddie Russell and I have created a new small batch bourbon, Wild Turkey Long Branch, refined with Texas mesquite charcoal. It is my favorite bourbon on the planet. Wild Turkey Long Branch. Real bourbon, no apologies.
I'm just checking to see if anybody's following us. We've only just arrived in Kazakhstan literally a matter of hours ago, and it seems like half the city's police force is already trying to figure out what we're up to.
كله تعبان نفسيا انا كله انا مريض نفسيا ما تعرف نفسك انت حيوان عايش لو تضربك سياره مشكل يعني جايبين هذه اصل تعذيب اصل زياده فهمت
What is life like after Guantanamo? Where do the detainees end up? And what do their lives even look like after being branded terrorists by the US government? Since 2002, 657 detainees have been released. About 100 have been sent to countries that aren't their homes, and the circumstances are a bit of a mystery. When a Yemeni detainee resettled to Kazakhstan died unexpectedly of kidney failure just weeks after being released, we decided to look into the lives of the other ex-detainees that had also been sent to the former Soviet Republic.
كل عندنا مشاكل صحية ولكن تختلف درجات. أنا مثال درجة خطيرة. أنا مرات تبدأ حرارة ونبدأ لابس بطانية نتغطى بالواحد جانا يجيني البرد هذاك متاع التعذيب.
Lutfi bin Ali is Tunisian and one of the 5 detainees who were transferred to Kazakhstan in late 2014. After the death of Lutfi's fellow ex-inmate Asam al-Khaliki, his lawyer Mark Denbo is concerned that Lutfi is in danger of having his health problems ignored by the Kazakh authorities.
Everybody who went to Kazakhstan had serious health problems.
So you said they all had serious health problems, but in stages.
While Denbo is stuck arguing with the State Department and going through the proper channels to address his client's needs, we grabbed his Arabic-speaking assistant Galib and went to see for ourselves.
So we've just arrived in Kazakhstan. We're in the middle of the empty steppe. There is nothing for hundreds and hundreds of miles around here. And this is the place where they brought some of the former Guantanamo detainees to, pretty much the end of the earth. So after 2.5 days' journey from New York, we've finally made it to far eastern Kazakhstan and found the building that Lutfi lives in. 52. Salam. So this is the kind of place you get for spending 12 years in Guantanamo Bay without charge. Here he is. Hi, how are you?
Lutfi was transported to Kazakhstan on December 30th, 2014. After being detained for 12 years in Guantanamo, the United States and Kazakhstan reached an agreement to have him resettled here, where he now receives support and care through the Kazakh Red Crescent Society. Just minutes after we arrived, members of the Red Crescent stopped by, unannounced.
Добрый день. Адвокат?
This is Alfia Meshina, the director of the Red Crescent in Semey. She rents this apartment for Lutfi with money from the ICRC, and both she and local police have copies of the keys.
Вы что-то не поняли. Давайте заново объясните мне, пожалуйста.
We went to meet with Lutfi with the impression that he's a free man, but it was clear we weren't welcome.
Нет, он не является частным гражданином. Он в данной стране, в Казахстане.
Да.
Он получатель проекта «Адаптация беженцев в Республике Казахстан». Он... даже не является таковым беженцем. Он не имеет статуса никакого. Понимаете, это уже вы что-то нарушаете. Вы не понимаете это?
Мы же не ожидали вас здесь встретить.
Слушайте, я как меньше всего вас ожидала здесь встретить.
В их интересах.
Я вынуждена руководство, конечно, позвонить.
Yes, so basically what's happened is she says we don't have the right to meet him. And she said he's not a private citizen, he doesn't have any rights, he doesn't have any paperwork, and he's part of our aid project, and therefore it's up to us to decide who sees him, which I think is very descriptive of the kind of situation they've been placed here in Kazakhstan. You know, they've been released from prison in Guantanamo on the one hand, but they've been transferred here without any rights whatsoever, yet they haven't been charged with any crime. They haven't been proven guilty of any crime. And there's people here who seem to think that, you know, they can filter who's actually able to gain access and speak to him.
The police just showed up and said, you've called the police. And she said, oh, no, it wasn't me, but I'm glad you're here.
Девушка снимает, на каком основании тоже я не пойму.
Хочу посмотреть на ваши документы.
Okay.
Кто вы и откуда, когда приехали?
May I ask why he's taking the information?
Он хочет знать, почему вы берете эту информацию.
Вы иностранные граждане.
He says you're foreigners.
Цель пребывания вашей должна
What is the purpose of your visit?
He's my client.
Говорит, что он его клиент.
They kept hounding us for the next 20 minutes, demanding that we leave Lutfi's apartment.
Сошлитесь на хотя бы один закон Казахстанской Республики о том, что человек должен у кого-то спрашивать разрешение, чтобы встретиться с кем-то.
Давайте сделаем так. Давайте до абсурда делаем. Давайте завтра в офисе Красного полумесяца мы встретимся и переговорим.
Мы за.
Хорошо, давайте на завтра.
Хорошо.
Все.
So, okay, everybody's smiling, everybody wants everybody to leave.
Пока.
У нас все в порядке, вы за наш счет не беспокойтесь. Слушайте, мы взрослые люди.
I'm just checking to see if anybody's following us. We've only just arrived in Kazakhstan literally a matter of hours ago, and it seems like half the city's police force is already trying to figure out what we're up to.
Lutfi was arrested in Pakistan in 2003 and classified as an enemy combatant by the US government, who claimed that he had ties to the Tunisian combat group and Al-Qaeda. He denies this.
أكبر مجرم جيبه في الواحد نسلم عليه وندخله البيت ونوكله عربي، هذه عادات العرب كله. الأمريكان مشكلتهم ما فهموا طبيعة العرب والكلتشر متاع العرب يعني الكولتورة متاع العرب.
Lutfi had a criminal record in Italy for petty crimes and forged travel documents. But like many Guantanamo detainees, he was never charged with terrorism-related activities by the US government.
The original orange Guantanamo jumpsuit.
In Department of Defense documents released by WikiLeaks, Lutfi was deemed to be of medium intelligence value to the United States. But they noted that Lutfi was a sick man with heart problems who needed a lot of medical attention and classified him as low risk. As far back as 2004, just a year after he was captured, Lutfi was recommended for release or transfer to the control of another country. But it would be another 10 years before that actually happened at the end of 2014.
Wow.
As promised, we reported to the Red Crescent. They agreed to let us film this meeting to get clarification about Lutfi's situation. His top concern today is access to medication. He has to go through the Red Crescent to get his heart meds.
وتمشي راسك مرفوع يكلمك واحد تجيب ورقنا فيه تاخذ دواء وتاخذ اكل وتاخذ كل شيء هنا تجي للمركز يعني تجيب لي دواء انا احتاج مش عارف ايش احتاج مش عارف الى متى يعني نعيش هكذا يعني هلا انا احرار ولا مربوطين.
This is very important because if something happens to him, you guys are responsible, and if he has a heart condition and something happens to him tomorrow, okay, this is very important. So we'd like to address these medical issues. It's not, we're not asking anything from you.
Во-первых, я вот этот бред про здоровье не хочу слушать, потому что с момента его приезда, с 31 декабря прошлого года, и по сегодняшний день мы только и занимаемся, что его здоровьем.
خليني بس قول لي بالضبط شو عايز.
اضطراب في القلب شديد جدا وعندي القلب كبر عن طبيعته وانا اعرف انا عندي مشكله قلب فالمشكله انا مشكلتي حقيقيه صحيه يعني ليس مشكله يعني وهميه ممكن اموت في اي لحظه انا احتاج الى مكان اين امشي انا كلينيك ديريكت ما انا اجيك هنا حتى نعطيك الورقه تمشي تشتري لي الدواء.
This meeting was long enough that Lutfi stopped to pray. It was clear that not only is Lutfi challenged with health issues in Semey, but his grievances are lost in translation. There are no Arabic speakers in the room besides Ghalib, who we brought with us. And on top of that, there are all kinds of rules and limitations on his freedom that he isn't even aware of.
Lutfi made an important point. If we're representing his attorneys and we're here as his friends, and this is what we have to go through. What happens if his mother or his father want to come?
В рамках соглашения разрешено посещение только кровными родственниками. Соглашение, повторяю, 10-й раз, заключено между двумя странами, между Америкой и Казахстаном.
كله الآن متى أنا نتزوج أنا عائلتي فقدت عائلتي ولدي فقدته فقدت زوجتي فقدت أموالي. الآن أنا أريد أتزوج أريد أستقر أريد أبني حياة أريد أعيش حياتي. I want to build myself.
Знакомиться с девушками и жениться. Кто ему не дает жить?
Он говорит, что им не предоставили возможности интегрироваться с обществом, что они не встречаются здесь с обычными людьми, что обычные люди здесь их боятся.
Поэтому я их просила чуть-чуть побриться, а если вы бороду не сбриваете, значит привести себя в порядок, для того, чтобы люди вас не боялись.
It's an incredible clash of cultures, you know, where the idea here is that you come here and you change yourself to fit in. You know, of course, if they'd sent him to a country where the culture was more similar, then these problems wouldn't exist. But Kazakhstan and where he comes from are like two different planets.
And on this planet, Lutfi just isn't very welcome.
Сколько у нас малоимущих, сколько у нас стариков одиноких, сколько у нас многодетных семей живут намного хуже, чем он что, национальный герой для Казахстана, что ему такие условия и привилегии.
So the question is do they have to remain in Simi? Can they go to and be under the care of the ICRC in Almaty, for example?
Они говорят, они должны быть в семье, они могут поехать?
Нет, они только будут в семье. В другие города они поехать не могут. Решаем это не мы, решается это все на уровне правительства.
Сейчас давайте встречу нашу будем заканчивать, потому что мы вам объяснили. Надо обратиться в Международный комитет Красного Креста.
So we contacted the ICRC, who told us that detainees like Lutfi are not actually under their care. They said, these individuals are not under our care, and we would suggest also not under the care of the Kazakh Red Crescent Society, in the sense of having responsibility for their status. However, we are attentive to their situation and wish for them to be well adapted in their new countries. So if the Red Crescent is strictly offering humanitarian aid to detainees, then why all the rules? And whose rules are they?
Right.
Do you have the documents that explains what your tasks are and what your responsibilities are?
Естественно, есть, но я вам их не буду показывать.
Our subsequent requests to see the details of the resettlement agreement between the U.S. and Kazakhstan were denied.
С нашей стороны, нам американское правительство сказало, что эти люди являются свободными людьми, которые находятся в Казахстане на правах обычных людей.
Они не ходят ни в наручниках, ни в кандалах, они не ходят ни в сопровождении милиции, ни с какими-то конвоями. Они передвигаются свободно по городу.
Lutfi might not be in leg shackles, but maybe more of an invisible leash. Despite Alfia's assurances, we didn't get very far when we tried to leave with him.
Ты куда пошел? В мечеть? Мечеть? Сейчас? А русский язык?
Потому что он постится, он пропустит урок. We're leaving together.
Нет, транспорт у нас есть.
Нет, он едет с нами.
Нет, он пропускает русский язык только ради вас.
Что значит только ради вас?
Нет,
К нему никогда никто не приезжал, вы говорите только ради нас.
Нет, внизите.
У него русский язык каждую неделю, а вы говорите...
Он говорит, ему постись, надо ехать домой. Так.
Только что в той комнате она сказала, что они свободны, за ними слежки нет, на них нету кандалей. Они могут делать все, что они хотят. Вот это прозвучало в той комнате. Теперь мы видим реальную ситуацию, где вы от нас не отстаете, и что он не может принимать решения самостоятельно. Let's go.
Нет, по программе русский язык.
What was the last thing he said?
He says, I'm worried for him, I'm responsible for him. Yeah. I said, you have the right to be worried for him. Go home and be worried about him there. I also said, in the room, she said he's a free man. He doesn't wear chains on his legs. Now we see the reality of the situation is that you're not letting him go somewhere. And that's when he left. How does it feel to be free? I can't believe we're on our own. We've basically kidnapped a former Guantanamo detainee.
Do you see the all talk is all bullshit?
Yeah, all the time.
Yes.
Мечеть, where is the...
Базар, на базаре.
На базаре мечеть.
Алхамдулилlah, انتصرنا عليه.
Long before Guantanamo, Lutfi lived in Milan, where he worked in a friend's Italian restaurant.
Вот это 120. Другой вид, что ли?
Да, другой, сам там.
Я вообще не пойму, что мужчина. Вот такой надо?
Вот такой. Где бьет такой, где бьет такой. Где бьет такой. В одном, в другой.
Какой другой надо?
Я? Ходишь.
Это 130.
А?
We didn't set out
Wow.
to make a hit. We just sang our song. Real bourbon, no apologies. Wild Turkey. It'll find you.
What are we making? Ooh, liver. Nuclear liver.
Really good. كان واحد صاحبي عنده رestaurant مرات نمشي نساعده هناك صاحبي بدون مقابل.
Finally, we were able to get Lutfi to ourselves.
لا هذه صفرة والله مرتي ما طبخت لي هيك.
Okay, I'll watch the rest of this later. Okay, I need to get off to get on the phone.